Once upon a time, there was a girl named Sarah who felt very lonely. Sarah lived in a small, old cottage on the edge of a huge forest. She had no friends nearby, and every day she sat by the window watching the birds fly and the trees sway, wishing she had someone to talk to. Sarah's parents had left a long time ago, and she didn't know where they had gone or if they would ever come back. Often she thought of them, missing them deeply. Her heart felt heavy with sadness that seemed to follow her everywhere. One night, when the moon was bright, Sarah heard a strange sound outside her window. It was a soft whisper, like the wind was trying to speak to her. Curious and a little frightened, she got up, walked to the window, and looked out into the darkness. She saw nothing, but the whisper continued, growing louder and more insistent. Sarah opened the window, leaning out to listen carefully. The voice called her name softly, but she couldn't see anyone around. The wind blew through the trees, making them creak as if they were alive. Then, as suddenly as it had started, the whispering stopped, leaving only silence. Sarah quickly closed her window, feeling a chill down her spine. She didn't understand what had just happened, but she knew it was strange. The next day, she couldn't stop thinking about the voice. Was it her imagination? Or was it there, something in the forest, calling to her? She decided to go for a walk in the forest to see if she could find out more. As Sarah walked through the trees, she felt like someone was watching her. The forest was quiet, with only the sound of leaves crunching under her feet. She walked deeper and deeper into the woods until she reached a small clearing. In the center was an enormous old tree with twisted roots and high-reaching branches. It was the biggest tree Sarah had ever seen, and it looked ancient, as if it had been there for hundreds of years. Sarah walked up to the tree and touched its rough, cool bark. For a moment, she thought she saw something moving in the shadows of the branches. But when she looked closer, there was nothing. Then she heard the whisper again. This time, it was coming from the tree itself. Sarah's heart raced. She could hardly believe what was happening. The tree was calling her name in a gentle, comforting voice. She wanted to run away, but something kept her rooted to the spot. The voice felt calming, almost like it understood her loneliness. She listened as the tree began to tell her a story. It was a story of a girl who once lived in the forest, feeling just as lonely as Sarah did. The girl had wandered into the woods, looking for someone to talk to, but she had gotten lost and never found her way back. The forest had become her home, and the trees were her only friends. As she listened, Sarah felt a tear roll down her cheek. She could feel the sadness of the girl in the story, and it made her heart ache. She wished she could have been there for the girl, to be her friend. The tree finished its story, and the forest became quiet again. Sarah stood there, thinking deeply. She felt connected to the girl in the story, almost like they shared the same feeling. As she walked back to the cottage, Sarah felt a strange calmness inside. She no longer felt as lonely as before. The tree's story made her realize that she wasn't the only one who felt this way, and that comforted her. That night, Sarah had a dream. In her dream, she was walking through the forest, but this time, she wasn't lonely. A boy walked beside her, holding her hand. He had kind eyes and a warm smile that made her feel safe and cared for. The boy told Sarah that they had known each other in another life, but they had been separated. He had been searching for her, just as she had been wishing for a friend. When Sarah woke up, she felt both happy and sad. She believed the boy from her dream was real, and she felt hopeful that they would meet someday. The next day, Sarah went back to the forest and stood by the old tree. She told it about her dream and asked if it could help her find the boy. The tree remained silent, but a soft breeze touched her face, as if comforting her. From then on, Sarah visited the forest every day, hoping to find the boy. She walked among the trees, calling his name, but he never appeared. Days turned into weeks, and she started to lose hope, wondering if it had only been a dream. One evening, as she was walking through the woods, Sarah heard footsteps behind her. She turned around and saw a boy standing there. He looked exactly like the boy from her dream. He smiled and said her name, making Sarah's heart race with excitement. The boy told Sarah he had been having dreams about her too, and had been searching for her, just as she had been searching for him. He said that they were meant to find each other. Sarah felt joy and relief, but also a little fear. She had been alone for so long, and now there was someone who cared about her. The boy took her hand and assured her that she would never be alone again. Over the next days, Sarah and the boy spent all their time together. They explored the forest, shared stories, and talked about their dreams. For the first time in her life, Sarah felt truly happy, like she had found her place in the world. One day, as they sat under the old tree, the boy told Sarah about a strange dream he'd been having. In it, he saw a woman standing at the edge of the forest, watching them with a gentle smile. The boy thought the woman wanted to tell him something important. Sarah felt a shiver, for she had often felt her mother's presence in the forest, but had never seen her. She knew that the woman in the boy's dream was her mother. The boy suggested they go to the forest's edge to see if she was there. Holding hands, they walked through the forest, feeling a mix of excitement and sadness. When they reached the edge of the forest, they saw a woman standing there in a flowing dress, her hair moving softly in the breeze. Sarah's heart filled with emotion, knowing this was her mother. With tears in her eyes, Sarah wanted to run to her mother, to hug her, and tell her how much she missed her. But something held her back. The boy gently told her that her mother had come to say goodbye. She had been watching over Sarah all these years. But now it was time for her to move on. Her mother wanted Sarah to know that she was proud of her and that she would always be loved. As her mother's figure faded into the forest, Sarah felt sadness mixed with peace. She knew her mother would always be with her in spirit. The boy took her hand and they stood there silently, feeling a sense of closure. As they walked back to the old tree, the boy told Sarah he believed their love had brought her mother peace. He promised they would face everything together. Sarah looked at him gratefully, knowing they were meant to be. In the days that followed, Sarah and the boy were inseparable. They shared everything and looked forward to a life filled with happiness. One evening, as they sat under the tree, the boy gently kissed her forehead and spoke of their future. He promised to stay by her side, to keep her from ever feeling lonely again. As the stars twinkled above, Sarah felt a sense of warmth and peace. She knew that she had found her home, a place where she belonged. The love they shared was strong, and they knew it would last forever. In the calm of the night, with the forest around them, they whispered dreams of the future, holding each other close. They watched the stars, feeling grateful for the gift of love and the happiness they had found together. Continuing the story of Sarah and the boy, they found themselves in awe of the mysteries surrounding the tree and the ancient love it had rekindled between them. After their magical night under the tree, Sarah and the boys' lives began to transform, filled with moments of tenderness, challenges, and discoveries about the depth of their connection. As dawn warmed the forest, Sarah felt as though the branches above her whispered secrets. They both held each other closely, knowing that they were the threshold of something truly extraordinary. Every moment they spent under the tree filled them with both excitement and serenity, a sensation that felt as old as time itself. Their bond was deepening in ways neither of them could fully explain, and the memory of the dream still lingered, vivid in their minds.